The thorns pricked my skin like forgotten promises as I knelt in the damp earth, clipping back the overgrown stems of the ladybank's rose. 50 years ago, my wife, Eleanor, and I had planted this very bush on a sun-drenched afternoon, her laughter mingling with the scent of fresh soil. "Henry, if these roses outlast us, they'll tell our story," she'd said, her hands dirt-streaked and warm in mine. Now, at 78, I was the only one left to tend them. But on that fateful Saturday, as the barbecue smoke choked the air and my son's voice shattered the peace like a slammed gate, I realized the garden wasn't the only thing I'd let slip away. "Dad, you're in the way again. Go inside, old man. This yard's for the family now." His words hung there, sharp as the shears in my hand, and in that moment, I knew the real pruning had to begin. It started innocently enough, or so I told myself. After Eleanor's passing 10 years ago, cancer, quick and merciless, I rattled around in our two-story colonial like a ghost in his own haunt. The house on Elmwood Lane was too big, too quiet, filled with echoes of her humming in the kitchen or calling me in from the garden. Our son, Mark, then 45 and freshly divorced, suggested moving in with his new wife, Carla, and their daughter, my granddaughter Lily, who was just turning 12. "It'll be good for all of us, Dad," he'd said over coffee one morning, his eyes earnest. "We can help with the upkeep and Lily adores you. Plus, we're struggling a bit financially, rent's killing us." I saw the logic. The house had 4 bedrooms, a spacious backyard, and that rose garden that bloomed like a living memorial. I agreed, thinking family would fill the voids Eleanor left behind. At first, it was a bomb. Lily helped me water the roses, her small hands careful around the thorns. "Grandpa, why do they smell like Grandma's perfume?" she'd ask, and I'd spin tales of how Eleanor chose each variety for its scent and color. Mark mowed the lawn on weekends, and Carla cooked hearty meals, though her spices always overpowered the simple flavors I preferred. I paid the bills. The mortgage was long cleared, but utilities, property taxes, internet, streaming services, all in my name, as they'd always been. It felt right. I was the patriarch, providing as I had for decades in my career as a civil engineer, building bridges that connected people. Little did I know, the bridges in my own home were crumbling. The shifts were subtle, like weeds creeping in. Mark started parking his truck in the garage, displacing my old workbench. "Dad, you don't tinker much anymore," he'd say with a shrug. Carla claimed the sunroom for her yoga mats and essential oils, her sanctuary where my reading chair once sat. But the backyard, that was the heart of it. The rose garden spanned half the space, a riot of reds, pinks, and yellows framed by a white picket fence Eleanor had painted herself. The other half was a patio with a grill, perfect for lazy afternoons. They began hosting barbecues every weekend, inviting friends over for beers and burgers. I joined at first, but soon I felt like an intruder in my own oasis. "Dad, could you maybe stay inside? The guys are coming over, and we need space," Mark said one evening, not meeting my eyes. Carla would chime in with a saccharine smile, "Henry, you should rest. At your age, the heat isn't good for you." Lily, caught in the middle, would glance at me apologetically before burying her nose in a book. I retreated, telling myself it was temporary, that family ebbed and flowed. But the barbecues grew louder, the laughter more exclusive. They'd blast music, trample the edges of the garden beds, and leave beer cans scattered like fallen petals. I cleaned up silently, my arthritic knees protesting, whispering to the roses as if Eleanor could hear, "They're just young, love. They'll settle." Months turned to years. 4, to be exact. Mark got a promotion at his sales job, but instead of moving out, they upgraded their lives on my dime. A new flat screen in the living room for streaming shows I never watched. Premium internet for Carla's online business selling handmade soaps. The sprinkler system I'd installed to keep the roses thriving. They used it to water their new sod patch for better barbecues. Bills tripled, but I paid them, dipping into my pension and the savings from my engineering days. I shrank myself smaller, eating meals in my room, watching TV on a small set upstairs, tending the garden only at dawn when they slept. Family helps family, I'd mutter, but deep down, a thorn twisted, was this help, or harvest? The breaking point came on that scorching July afternoon in 2025. The roses were in full bloom, their petals unfurling like secrets long held. I was out early, as usual, deadheading spent blooms and whispering to Eleanor. Lily joined me briefly, her now 16-year-old frame gangly and awkward. "Grandpa, the roses look amazing," she said, plucking a yellow bud. But then Mark stormed out the back door, charcoal bag in hand, Carla trailing with marinated steaks. "Dad, what are you doing out here?" "We're setting up for the party." "You're in the way again, tools everywhere." "Go inside, old man. This yard's for the family now." The words landed like a frost in summer. "In the way, old man. This yard's for the family now." Carla laughed, a sharp, dismissive bark as if it were a joke. Lily looked away, her cheeks flushing, clutching the rose stem until a thorn drew blood. I stood slowly, shears in hand, feeling the weight of 50 years in that soil. The garden wasn't just dirt and flowers, it was Eleanor's legacy, our shared sweat and joy. And now, it was theirs. I didn't shout. Didn't argue. I simply nodded, placed the shears in my basket, and walked inside. But as the screen door clicked shut behind me, something ignited, not rage, but resolve. A cold, clear clarity, like the first light after a storm. Upstairs in my study, I opened the old oak safe Eleanor and I had bought for our important papers. Inside, amid yellowed photos and her handwritten recipes, was the deed to the house. Sole owner, Henry James Whittaker. No liens, no co-signers. Mark and Carla had never paid rent, never signed a lease. They'd been guests, gratis occupants, as the law called them. I'd let sentiment blind me to the facts. My fingers trembled slightly as I dialed an old friend, Harlan Brooks, a retirement-age lawyer who'd handled Eleanor's estate. "Henry? It's been ages. What's wrong?" I explained, voice steady. "They've taken over, Harlan. The house, the garden, everything. I need to reclaim it." He listened, then chuckled grimly. "Sounds like a classic case of overstepping. No lease means you can terminate at will. I'll draft a notice to vacate, 30-day standard. Want it served tomorrow?" I paused, gazing out the window at the barbecue smoke rising. "Yes." "And Harlan?" "Make it ironclad." That night, I packed a small suitcase, clothes, toiletries, a photo of Eleanor, and slipped out the front door while they left in the backyard. I drove to the Maple in downtown, a cozy place with clean sheets and no expectations. Checking in, I felt a strange liberation, like shedding overgrown vines. In the room, I pulled out my phone and logged into the utility apps. Water company, sprinkler system add-on, in my name, suspended. Streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, all cancelled, effective immediately. Internet, downgraded to basic, no premium speed for Carla's uploads. Not out of spite, but sense. If the yard was theirs, let them water it themselves. The call started before dawn. My phone buzzed like angry bees. "Mark, Dad, what the hell? The sprinklers won't turn on, and the TV's saying account suspended." "Carla, Henry, this is ridiculous. Fix it, we have guests coming." I let them go to voicemail, sipping coffee in the inn's lobby. Then, at 10 a.m., the courier arrived at the house. I'd timed it perfectly. A young man in a crisp uniform rang the bell. Notice to vacate for Mr. and Mrs. Whittaker. I imagined Mark's face paling as he read the legalese, 30 days to leave, or face eviction proceedings and back rent at fair market value, $2,500 a month for 4 years. Over $120,000 owed if they drag it out. Panic set in. Texts flooded, "Dad, this is a joke, right? We need to talk. You're breaking up the family." I responded once, "Meet me at Harlan's office tomorrow, 9 a.m. sharp." That evening, Lily texted separately, "Grandpa, I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say. Are you okay?" My heart softened. "I'm fine, sweetheart. This is about boundaries, not you." The lawyer's office was a bastion of mahogany and leather-bound books, smelling of polished wood and old victories. Harlan, silver-haired and sharp-eyed, greeted me with a firm handshake. "Documents are ready. Notice served, utilities in limbo, smart move." Mark and Carla arrived disheveled, eyes red from a sleepless night. Lily wasn't with them, she'd stayed at a friend's. Mark slammed into a chair. "Dad, what is this? Evicting your own son? After all we've done? All you've done?" I echoed calmly, seating myself at the head of the table. "You've lived rent-free, used my home as your playground, and now claim my garden? The one Eleanor and I built?" Carla interjected, voice shrill. "We helped. I cooked, Mark fixed things." Harlan raised a hand. "Let's stick to facts. The deed is Mr. Whittaker's alone. No lease, no contributions documented. You have 30 days. After that, court for eviction and retroactive rent." Mark blustered, "Family rights. We've been here years, adverse possession or something." Harlan smiled thinly. "Adverse possession requires hostile, open claim without permission. You've had permission, until now. And Henry pays everything. No case." Carla teared up, "The sprinklers, the streaming, it's cruel." I met her eyes. Cruel is laughing while banishing an old man from his wife's garden. This is consequence. They left fuming. Threats of lawsuits hanging like storm clouds. But Harlan assured me, "Bluff. They'll fold." Over the next weeks, I stayed at the inn, tending a small window box of herbs as a placeholder. The calls dwindled from anger to pleas. "Mark, Dad, let's negotiate. We'll pay some rent." "Carla, think of Lily, she loves the garden." I held firm, 30 days. No extensions. Lily visited me mid-month, sneaking out during school hours. We met at a park bench, roses blooming nearby. "Grandpa, Mom and Dad are fighting non-stop. Dad says you're heartless." I hugged her. "Sweetheart, heartless is letting disrespect fester. The garden, it's not just flowers. It's Grandma's memory. They trampled that." She nodded, tears welling. "I miss helping you. Can I still visit after?" "Always," I promised. "As a guest, with love." Day 30 dawned crisp. Harlan's associate oversaw the move out, a rented truck, boxes of their belongings. Mark grumbled but signed the handover. No damage, save a few trampled rose stems. I'd fix those. I returned that evening, key turning in the lock with a satisfying click. The house felt vast, echoes welcoming. The backyard air was fresh, untainted by smoke. I knelt by the lady banks, whispering to Eleanor, "We're home, love." Months passed. Mark and Carla rented an apartment downtown, their marriage strained but intact. They sent a stiff apology card. I filed it away. But Lily? She texted weekly, then visited. "Grandpa, teach me pruning?" We'd spend afternoons in the garden, her hands steadier now, stories flowing. The roses bloom brighter, as if relieved. The gate swings open for her, for guests with respect. Not tenants who take. And in the quiet evenings, as petals fall like gentle rain, I sit on the patio, Eleanor's spirit near. The yard is mine again. The family? Redefined, pruned to thrive.